again and welcome to class 732. All right, I want to finish paragraph 192 and then go on to learn to speak up. I like this paragraph. Well, it has good vocabulary. Working with him, el trabajar con él. Trabajando con él, el trabajar con él. Working with him was the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my working life. My working life, mi vida laboral, mi vida profesional, my working life, my professional life, my career. My career is in teaching. My working life is in teaching. Working with him was, which means I don't work with him anymore. I used to, but not anymore. I used to, but not anymore. I used to work with him, but now he's retired. And so I can't work with him anymore. All right. But working with him was the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my working life. I've ever had, que no he tenido nunca. It's the best opportunity, the greatest, la oportunidad más grande que he tenido. Very special person. Yes, a very good leader, a very capable manager. So working with him was the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my working life. I've ever had, otra vez con las Vs, lo mencioné ayer, I've ever had in my working life. I agree with you that he's a demanding boss. He's a demanding boss, exigente, but he's fair with everybody. Es justo con todos. He's fair with everybody. And one thing that I consider very important is that he doesn't expect people, or he doesn't expect his people to work long hours. You know, some bosses, here in Spain, this is true, in the US this is not true, but this is or was very true in Spain. If the boss continued working until 8 p.m., many of the employees continued working until 8 p.m. The employees were afraid to leave the office, to get up, get their things, and leave the office before the boss. If the boss was still in the office, the employees continued. And that's despotic. That's a bad boss. That's a bad boss. If I'm working late, for example, me, if I'm working in my office I don't work late. I don't. But occasionally, every now and then, every once in a while, from time to time, I need to work late. Not very often. And if I see somebody working, I always say, "Hey, Pedro, what are you doing here? Vete a casa ya." Normally, Pedro has a problem too, and he needs to work late because my people know that work ends at a certain time and you go home. Yes, but that's not common here, or it wasn't. Today I don't know. I'm getting old. Every year I'm more and more out of touch with reality. All right. But in any case, working with him was the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my working life. I agree with you that he's a demanding boss. I agree with you. Yes, he's a demanding boss, but he's fair with everybody. And one thing that I consider very important, and one thing that I consider very important is that he doesn't expect his people to work long hours. No espera que su gente trabaje largas horas. Así se dice en inglés, o sea, muchas horas. Hasta las tantas de la noche. Working. Yes, no es tirano. He's not a tyrant. He's not a tyrant. He's a taskmaster. Yes. But he's not a despot. He's not a tyrant. He's not a dictator. Taskmaster. Preciosa expresión. Literalmente maestro de tareas, pero taskmaster quiere decir que está encima que la gente trabaja porque quiere. People work because they want to. He's a taskmaster. He doesn't let anyone waste time. wasting time. No dejan que nadie pierda el tiempo en tonterías. He doesn't let anyone waste time, so it's normal for the work to be done faster. It's normal for the work to be done more quickly. It's normal for the work to be done faster. He doesn't let anybody waste time. He doesn't let anybody waste time. No permite que nadie desperdicie el tiempo, o sea, malgaste el tiempo, o pierda el tiempo en tonterías. He doesn't let anyone, he doesn't let anybody waste time. And one thing I consider important is that he doesn't want his people to work long hours. Or he doesn't, como dice, he doesn't expect his people to work long hours. Me neither. Neither do I. I don't expect my people to work long hours. It's not right, okay? It's an ethical question. It's not right. Okay, learn to speak up. Learn to speak up. Focus pack 22. Da-da-da-dum. Right here. Page 176. This is the last list of 12 lists devoted to phrasal verbs. This list is very difficult to reproduce correctly. In fact, it's impossible. Many of the sentences you will never use when you speak. And the people in Denmark and Sweden don't use these when they speak, but they understand them. So remember that 95% of all the phrasal verbs in English are to understand when people use them, native people, because non-native people don't use them, native people. 5%, yes, you need to assimilate and learn to reproduce orally. But the other 95%, no. And on this list, probably 100%, you don't need to reproduce orally. But you need to understand if you deal with native speakers. If in your job, if in your profession you deal with native speakers, then you need to understand phrasal verbs. So remember, don't become obsessed with phrasal verbs. It's counterproductive, 100% counterproductive. Become obsessed with auxiliary verbs, yes, do, does, will, won't, did, didn't, etc. That, yes, I give you permission to become obsessed. Que sea una obsesión sana, no insana. All right, a healthy obsession, yes. But don't become obsessed with phrasal verbs. It will destroy you. It will make English more difficult than it really is, and you will fall into a downward spiral. Una espiral hacia abajo que es en barrena. A downward spiral. So, page 176. Are you ready? Eso no explica lo que pasó. That doesn't account for what happened. That doesn't account, como la palabra de una cuenta bancaria, a bank account, pero como verbo. That doesn't account for what happened. Para lo que pasó, no for what happened. Eso no explica lo que pasó. También podemos decir, that doesn't explain what happened. But we usually don't say that. We say, that doesn't account for what happened. That doesn't clarify what happened. That doesn't account for what happened. Number 2, tienes que dejar un margen para gastos imprevistos. No? Of course. You have to allow for. To allow is permitir. To allow for is dejar margen para. To allow for. You have to allow for unforeseen expenses. He tenido que mirar para unforeseen. imprevistos, que no prevés. Unforeseen, yo no preví tener estos gastos. La gente no suele aquí conjugar bien prever. They confuse with proveer many times. No preví, I didn't foresee. All right. Tienes que dejar margen. You have to allow for unforeseen expenses. La X recuerda. Fuerte, fuerte. Expenses. Gastos. Expenses. You have to allow for unforeseen expenses, because if you don't, you can have a very unpleasant surprise. Ooh, I didn't expect I didn't expect the lights to cost so much. Marta, we don't have enough money to continue this program. The lights cost more than I expected. And she says, pues corazón, dímelo. Tú no has previsto, no has dejado margen para gastos imprevistos. She says, ay, melon heart, all right? You didn't allow for unforeseen expenses. All right, la factura global asciende a $1,000. Okay, the overall bill amounts to, la factura global, the overall. Global, no. Global sería la factura mundial, del globo terráqueo. Global is the globo terráqueo, global. The overall, que cubre todo. Overall. Above all is sobre todo. Yes. Me gusta ese estudio, sobre todo las luces. I like this studio. Above all, the lights. Pero no solemos decir above all. En este caso, I like this studio, especialmente las luces. Es con E delante, en este caso, especially the lights. All right. But overall means global, que abarca todo. All right. So, la factura global, the overall bill, or the overall invoice. Both are correct. Invoice is more technical. Bill is more cotidiano, more everyday. Everyday. Everyday son dos palabras. Todos los días, everyday, o cada día, everyday. Sin embargo, cuando es adjetivo, se une. Mis gastos diarios, my everyday expenses. Las cosas cotidianas. The everyday things. ¿Cómo era? Los acontecimientos cotidianos que acontecen, las cosas cotidianas consuetudinarias que acontecen en la rúa. All right, es Antonio Machado, Juan de Mairena. Lo que pasa en la calle, what happens in the street. All right, so, la factura global asciende a, fíjate, asciende a €1,000. The overall bill amounts to, amount es cantidad, el monto, o sea, monta a, amounts to. All right, it amounts to cuando, aquí se decimos, esto, a ver, asciende a €40. Okay, it amounts to. También de forma figurada, yes. Toda esta situación asciende a un problema racial. This amounts to a racial problem. Amounts to. It amounts to. No puedo distinguir el uno del otro. Los famosos gemelos idénticos. The identical twins. No puedo distinguir el uno. I can't tell them apart. En inglés es 100% diferente que en español. No puedo distinguir el uno del otro. No sé quién es quién ni cuál es cuál. I can't tell them apart. Apart es una sola palabra. Aparte. I can't tell them apart. To tell aquí es distinguir o whatever. I can't tell them apart. They look just alike. I can't tell them apart. I can't tell them apart. I remember two girls in high school, identical twins, and it was very difficult to tell them apart. And one time, one girl told me, on the second date, my sister went out with him, and he didn't know. Yes, the first date, la primera cita, she went out. But on the second date, she says, oye, Carolina, ¿puedes Vas bien tú. No se entera. And he didn't tell the difference. And so, but they didn't continue going out with him, okay? Poor guy. Yes. All right. Eso es doble calabazas. Toma. Calabazas por partida doble. All right. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Okay. Poor Tommy. All right. No puedo distinguir el uno. I can't tell them apart. I can't tell them apart. Tira eso. Tíralo. Tira eso. Tira eso. Marta, tira eso. Throw that away. Throw that away. Throw that away. Eso. Throw that away. Ahora, tíralo. Throw it away. Tíralos. Throw them away. Throw them away. Tira esto. Voy a tirar esto. I'm going to throw this away. I'm going to throw this away. I'm going to throw it away right now. I'm in the process of throwing it away. Throw it away. Throw that away. No deberías decidir eso de forma precipitada. You shouldn't rush into that. Wow. Me encanta. You shouldn't rush into that. Yeah. You shouldn't rush into. To go into is entrar. Voy a entrar en esa habitación. I'm going to go into that room. To come into is entrar viniendo dirección vía. He's coming into. To run into is entrar corriendo. O chocar contra también. To swim into is entrar al nado. Pero la constante aquí es into. Now to rush is darse prisa. To hurry. To rush into is entrar precipitadamente. To rush into. Wise men say, only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Do you know the song? It's Elvis, como dice aquí. Elvis Presley. I can't. Wise men, los sabios dicen que solo los tontos entran precipitadamente en las cosas. Wise men say, only fools rush in. Pero no puedo evitar enamorarte de ti. Y entro precipitadamente en busca de tu corazón. But I can't help falling in love with you. It's a beautiful song, really. Yes. La da 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 da. I can play that on the guitar too. Wise men say to rush in. No entremos en este tema precipitadamente. Ponderemos las cosas. Let's not rush into this subject. Y aquí dice, no deberías decidir eso de forma precipitada. You shouldn't rush into that. To rush into. ¿Ves? Esto es una casa. All right? You see? Now, this person is walking into the house or going into the house. This person is rushing into the house. Rushing into, es entrando de forma muy precipitada into the house. Y lo usamos figuradamente más que físicamente. Rush into. No, think about it. Wait, don't be so anxious. Wait. Ponder the alternatives. Think about it. Don't rush into this. Don't rush into this. Yes. Y esto dice, you shouldn't rush into that. No deberías decidir eso. You shouldn't decide that. Y Marta está mirando. No, you shouldn't decide that in such a rash way. I say, don't rush into that. All right. This is a difficult list. This is a very rich list. Él entró corriendo, me saludó y se fue corriendo. Okay. Otra vez con rush. He rushed in. Richard, hi. Said hello and rushed out. He rushed in, rushed. Escrito rushed. S-H-E-D. He rushed in. Ahora enlacemos. He rushed in, said hello, and rushed out. Yeah. Hey, Richard, hi. Speedy Gonzalez. He rushed in, said hello, and rushed out. Esto ocupa, Marta, esto ocupa demasiado espacio en esta mesa. This takes up too much space. ¿Se dice eso? Yeah. Sometimes I don't look at the English, I just say it. This takes up too much space. To take up. Y esta clase de inglés, this is 26 minutes. It takes up too much time for me. Ocupa demasiado tiempo de mi día. It takes up too much time. And this takes up too much space. Este libro trata de los problemas del tercer mundo. Oh. This book deals with the problems of the third world. This book deals with third world problems. Aquí lo pone como adjetivo. Problemas tercermundistas. This book deals with third world problems. However, today we don't say the third world. Perhaps it's politically incorrect. Now we say the developing world. In Spanish you say el mundo en vías de desarrollo. In English, el mundo desarrollante, the developing world and the developed. I live and you live in the developed world. But most people on this planet still live in the developing world. We don't say third world anymore. However, I like to say it because the third world is getting smaller and smaller. It's true. Things are getting better. And the second world is getting bigger. And the first world is getting bigger. But especially the second world. And nobody ever says el segundo mundo. But for example, a country like, I don't know, like Morocco, es claramente el segundo mundo. Aspirante al primer mundo. Yeah. You go to Morocco today, and it reminds me of Spain in 1975, 1974. When I came to Spain in 1972, 73, 74, when I go to Casablanca, I've been to Casablanca, I've been to Rabat, I've been to Marrakesh, I've been to Fez, I've been to Ifrane, which I recommend. Ifrane is La Suiza Marroquí. All right, it's very interesting, very small, beautiful. And I've been to Tangier, to Tetuan, and I think that's it. I forget. And I've been there 6 or 7 times, and it's progressing very, very well. Everything is getting better, con sus altibajos. La gente se fija en los bajos, no en los altis, y en la tendencia al alza, siempre. Things are getting better in the world. Yes, the world is not a valley of tears. In spite of the problems in Ukraine, in spite of the problems in many isolated areas of the world, things are getting better. And the third world is getting smaller and smaller. The second world is getting bigger. And the first world, the developed world, is also getting bigger. There's every reason for optimism. Okay, ¿dónde estoy? Este libro trata de los problemas del tercer mundo. This book deals with. También, you could say this book is about. Es acerca de. This book is about third world problems. Pero un libro que aborda este tipo de problemas es mejor deals with. Porque trata de estos problemas, aborda estos problemas. This book deals with the problems of the third world or third world problems. Me muero por verla. I'm dying to see her. Yeah, I'm dying to see her. I can't live without her. Yeah, she's the love of my life. I can't imagine going through life without her. I'm dying to see her. Well, Richard, she's not dying to see you. No? Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Richard, but I'm sorry. But I'm dying. Estoy muriendo por verlas. O sea, me muero por verlas, decís aquí. La reunión no acababa nunca ayer. The meeting went on the meeting dragged on forever. Yes, the meeting went on, seguía. The meeting went on forever. The meeting dragged on forever. To drag. Drag is arrastrar. To drag. Drag es dragar un puerto para hacerlo más profundo. Eso es to dredge. But to drag is arrastrar. To drag. Yes. I'm dragging the book across the table. To drag. Now to drag on means la reunión seguía y seguía y no paraba. He never stopped talking. The boss never stopped talking. It dragged on forever. What a drag. Means que tostón. Que lata. ¿Qué pasa? No, ya no se dice tostón. Yes, todavía. This was 2 generations ago. Que lata. You have other more expressive words. What a drag. What a drag. Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones. What a drag it is getting old. What a drag. I have to go. See you tomorrow.